Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Sacred Sexy Self-Love series. My name is Elena Harder of joygasm.me, and today we are talking with Valerie Greene, who is a unique relationship mentor who helps women to inspire their man to fulfill their deepest needs and desires. She has a highly successful alternative to relationship therapy, helping women and couples create deep emotional intimacy, not just problem solving or communication skills. She's shared her free e-guide with thousands of women called Manifesting Love. You can download yours to activate with one simple secret that will draw a man closer and inspire his love, adoration, and devotion, no matter where your relationship is now. And we'll have a link to that at the end of the interview. So, Valerie, welcome, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thanks so much, Elena. I'm so excited to be here and just have fun with you.
Yeah, we're going to jam on self-love as how it relates to relationship conflict, because that's Valerie's area of expertise, and Lord knows I've had enough of those moments. I've got something to say too, and I apologize, or you're welcome, for my sultry, a little bit sick voice right now. So thank you for bearing with me around that.
Yes, I'm sure you could speak a lot about self-love when you're not feeling well as well, so we can work on that.
I took the afternoon to sit around and journal and be like, what do I want? What am I not talking about? Why is my throat freaking out?
Right, exactly.
It's like, I'm not saying something, otherwise my throat would be happier. So, but
yes.
Yeah, and it totally had to do with my relationship. It was like not saying things in relationship causes so much trouble. So can you give us an example, Valerie? Like, just so we've got somebody we can talk about, or somebody like a concept person that we could sort of help troubleshoot. What's the biggest piece about women not sharing what they're thinking in relationships that you've seen from your work?
Oh, definitely. I think that, there's so many things that women don't share. It depends on the stage of a relationship that they're at. So we'll assume you're already in a committed relationship, because there's other things that women don't share in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But in a committed relationship, I think a lot of times we don't share our emotions because we're scared that it'll push him away, or, we've only really been taught two ways to handle our emotions, either to kind of just like come right out with it, in which case he probably will be pushed away, right? Because men don't relate to emotions the same way women do, so it's like we speak to him the way we'd speak to our girlfriends, and then he gets pushed away, or we sweep them under the carpet, kind of like I think what you're just alluding to. And we don't say things, and then it sort of builds up, and maybe it wasn't a big deal. But little things that aren't big deals build up until then eventually we get really upset over a little thing because they've been building up. So that's the only two ways that we've been taught how to relate to emotions. And so the way that I teach women is a third way, which is around what I call alchemizing emotions. And it is an internal practice, and it does take things like journaling, exactly like what you were just talking about. But also feeling the sensation of the emotion in our bodies, because that's a lot of times we don't know why we're feeling the way we're feeling in our mind, right?
Yeah. And it sometimes doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter why we're feeling what we're feeling. You just need to feel it.
That's right, exactly. It matters, but it's like, it's not what you think it is. So like there's this story going around your head. I'll make this symbol because, the story is not really what you think it is. It's really something much deeper. And it's probably a deeper emotional need and emotional needs are things like, for example, let's say your partner is always late, for example. And that might be what it seems to be on the surface. But if you try to be like, I don't like when you're late, and just talk about it on the surface, then he'll say, well, don't judge me, or, whatever it is that he says that gets defensive. But what it really is, the source of the upset is what him being late means on a deeper emotional level. So like, is it your value of integrity? That's really important. And what does that mean to you? Or is it that that's how you feel respected? And then you feel disrespected. And so like, is that around trust? And maybe if you don't trust him to be on time for what you've been planning, then you wouldn't trust him to be on time for something bigger, and that's what it's really about. So it's like, but just sharing that with him wouldn't necessarily, because then he'd be like, why are you blowing out of proportion? So alchemizing the emotion. I have
You're freaking out because I was late by 5 minutes again,
right, exactly.
Like,
and why are you freaking out? What's wrong with you? Right. So it's like, it's really about us going deeper into our feelings as sensations in the body and looking for the deeper wisdom that only our body knows about how to communicate those values in a way that he can hear, that inspires him. So in that example, it's like you would probably bring it up in a moment that you're already feeling connected, and then sharing your vision for what integrity means to you, let's say, and like how you learned that growing up, and what your vision of how you would want to work together differently in the future would be, and what does he need in order to give that to you, and what's going on for him, and like really having a more inspiring conversation about it. And that's, I have a process that I call emotional alchemy, where you feel this sensation in your body, and then you ask yourself these deeper questions to get to your deeper needs and values, and then how to communicate that to a man, and what are men's needs in communication. So what does he need in order to be able to hear that stuff from you, and what does he need on a regular basis in order to be able to have conversations like that?
Well, if you were to give like one thing that like men need in order to hear what we're saying, like what would that be?
I'd say the biggest thing is the mindset shift of collaboration. And so that's a mindset shift. And but there's certain actions that come from that place. But collaboration is recognizing that it's not about one person telling the other person what to do. That he also has needs that need to get met on a regular basis in order to be able to hear what your needs are. So the collaboration is an attitude that if you get down to the deeper essence of what it is that you're wanting and what it is that he's wanting, that there's a way to have both. So for example, let's say he needs more spontaneity and you need more integrity. That's like the deeper essence, but there's many different ways of creating that. If he wants more spontaneity and he's like, don't tell me what to do and I can be late if I want to, then what do you need in order to make that work for you? So that you still have integrity, and you can make an agreement around, like, do you need to create a boundary around if he's more than 30 minutes late that you'll make other plans, or do you need to like have him help you come up with what you're going to do during the time that you're waiting for him, so that you feel like you're a team. So that's and having that mindset shift where when you approach the conversation, you're starting it with something like, hey, this is important to me, but I know that, getting in his world and saying, I know that spontaneity is important to you and I want you to get what you need too. So how can we have both? That's, I think, the mindset shift that men need in order to be able to hear what a woman needs. And I'd say the biggest thing that women need to do on a regular basis, like one of the main things that men need in relationship, that I think a lot of women don't understand, is they need to feel successful. Like they need to feel like you're reflecting back to him that he's doing it right, more than reflecting back to him that he's doing it wrong. So if you're sharing your positive feelings and what you appreciate about him and the amazing things about him, if you're making sure to reflect that back to him on a regular basis, then he won't take you sharing your needs as that you're making him wrong. So that's, I think, one of the biggest mistakes that women make when they share their feelings is they do it in a way that's making him wrong. And that's unfortunately, I think, both men and women are sensitive to being made wrong, but it's more of men go into an unconscious space of feeling ashamed on a deeper level, and they don't even realize that's what's going on. They just feel pushed away.
They're like, I'm being, it's a self-esteem thing, and unfortunately men don't often have as many tools or haven't had as much practice in working on that as women have. Yeah, it's really interesting. And especially like you were talking about the positive, negative feedback piece, like from a positivity standpoint, the ratio is really important too. Like he needs to hear
Exactly.
it 3 times more that he's doing a really good job than like one negative thing for him to even recognize that you're telling him he's okay in general in your relationship, right?
Totally.
And I don't know if you
Yeah,
probably
I
heard
love
this.
that ratio. I think that was a John Gottman ratio, right?
Yeah. And when couples are falling in love, it's 17-1, right? It's like a really intensely high good ratio to bad ratio. And then, in order to actually stay in harmony, you need at least a 3-1. So,
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, I do know that 31 statistic. I share it as more of like a metaphor. And this is actually something my partner told me. That it's like sort of like, imagine that you have a house that's held up by pillars.
yeah.
And I imagine it with 4 pillars, but the pillars represent the positive feedback that you're giving him. And if those pillars are really strong, then there's room for you to pile on like negative feedback, and like it's heavy, right? So it kind of like gives the house a heavy weight, but if the pillars are strong, it'll hold it up. But if the pillars are weak, and then you throw in
That house is going to fall over.
So yeah, that's kind of how I teach about it.
Yeah. Yeah, we often talk about like threatening the relationship and how you're like, don't threaten the relationship. But in the same way, when those pillars of like strength, commitment, positive feedback, when those aren't strong, it doesn't matter what you do, it still feels like you're threatening the relationship. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. There was another piece you said in there about just that feedback mechanism and being collaborative. And I had sort of this visual of, if this is the problem and you're looking to solve the problem, the solution's over there somewhere. If you're coming at it being like, this sucks, I need it fixed, da 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 da, it's like you're pulling it back down, right? Whereas you're both in pain over the moment, or maybe you're in pain, but your response causes him pain. And so when you can sort of like come at it from the other side of like, what would the solution be? What's the positive side of this, and who do we both need to be in order to get that to happen? Then
Exactly.
It's a lot easier for you to both come to a collaborative solution rather than like pointing fingers and being nasty. Even if you don't feel like you're being nasty, you just feel like you're sharing.
Right.
Yeah. So did I understand that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And part of what I share with women is a 5-step process that I call the manifest love conversation.
Okay.
And it's basically exactly what you're talking about, like creating this positive frame for how it is that you need to start the conversation so that you're leaning towards the solution instead of the problem. Getting on that collaborative same page together, and then sharing your feelings in a way that doesn't make him wrong, that lets him feel what's going on. Like, I feel sad, I feel scared, I feel unsafe, I feel the sort of vulnerable feelings underneath, which is usually something like sad or scared, or anxious or lonely, or whatever it is that the vulnerable feelings are, if you're in a committed relationship already, and because then you have this shared commitment to hearing each other's realities. In a dating relationship, you might not want to be too vulnerable at first, but it's good to be able to say, hey, I feel sad right now, and it's okay, I'm okay. See how he responds if you're dating, but and then to really come from a solution framework, like, here's what I'm needing more of, what are you needing, what are you thinking about that, how can we solve this, and so I have a 5-step process around that I teach women, that I call the manifest love conversation.
Awesome. That sounds amazing. And you have like a free ebook around that, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. So
awesome.
the ebook is called Manifest Lasting Love. And in the ebook, I share a lot more in depth about all these concepts of what it takes to share your feelings with a man in a way that's inspiring him rather than pushing him away. And I share in detail this 5-step manifest love conversation. And then I give examples and a little worksheet at the end.
Awesome. Do you think, we're short on time in this moment, but do you think you could give us like, what are the 5, just an overview, what are the 5 pillars. And then if people want to hear them more, they can go in to check out the workbook and the worksheets and all of that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I basically just outlined them, but the first thing is that you're sharing your positive feelings on a daily basis,
Okay.
like we just talked about, because that builds pillars. Yeah, every day. The second thing is how you ask him, how you frame the conversation. So sharing what your intention is for the conversation. If you say, hey, I want to talk about something that's important to me so we can solve it together, like that's establishing that collaborative frame, and then asking him when's a good time, because a lot of times men have to be present for the conversation, and then step 3 is to share your feelings in a way that's not making him wrong. Go into depth on what that means.
That's a whole skill set, right? That's like a whole thing you got to learn.
Exactly. And then step 4 is to be able to ask him basically what he's thinking. And because a lot of times men don't know what they're feeling. But if you're asking him what he's thinking about all this, then, you can get into his world and kind of guess what it is that he's needing. And then the 5th step is to come up with a solution together. To be able to ask him, like, what do you need in order to give me what I need? And, to kind of work through it together. And of course, there's a lot of deeper distinctions in how to do that, but I give some examples and a little like fill in the blanks.
Nice. Templates is the best, right? It's just like, okay, how do I not screw this conversation up? Because I'm scared. It's not going to work.
Exactly. And it's really important too, as a woman, to be able to, just like you were talking about, like when, your throat wasn't feeling well, that you're journaling on your own, like, what am I not saying? It's really important for us to get clarity on what it is that our deeper needs and feelings are on a regular basis, so that we're not sweeping it under the carpet, and we're making sure that, we're not like burdening our partner with our needs. Like, we're not making him the only source of getting our needs met, but, that we're filling our life with practices, self-love practices, like the ones that you teach. And I have others that I teach, and I'm sure that's the experts that you're interviewing have their own practices, to stay resourced and to stay in that place of self-love. Because that, that's how we're going to communicate with our partner in a loving way.
Can you give me an example? Because we've talked about self-soothing, and so specifically, because I know that if you're in an argument or you're in a disagreement, that sometimes it's not the easiest thing to be like, okay, what's the collaborative? You got to get out of that fight or flight before you can start thinking collaboratively. So can you give us a quick, like, self-soothing, something that you do for yourself or that you give to your clients?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're with your partner and he's available to do this with you, it's so co-regulating to be able to even just like take a time out and do what's called co-regulation, which is, eye contact, breathing together, loving touch, and some kind of reassurance. This is what my partner and I agree to do when we're in an argument and we recognize it's spiraling out of control, is we'll take a time out and give each other co-regulation and say, like, we're on the same team, we'll work this out together. Like, so it's like, no matter what, if it's spiraling out of control, one of us will recognize it and do that. If your partner's not available for that, then I recommend taking a time out and self-soothing. And so what that looks like, I have a whole process around that I teach as well.
Yeah, you do, because you're amazing.
that I have.
It's always a process.
Likewise, of course. But that's the emotional alchemy process. Although the light version of that, which I teach in my self-study course, is called self-empathy. And that's really around, like I said, just getting out of your mind, because whatever thoughts you're thinking about it are only half of the picture. They're just half of the picture. So the way to get it out of your mind maybe is to journal for a few minutes, or maybe you scream into a pillow or hit pillows or whatever to get those thoughts out. Like, that it's only half the picture, but you still have to kind of get it out. So yeah, hit pillows, scream into a pillow, shake your body, journal out your judgments, whatever it is. But then feel it in your body. And as you're feeling it in your body, there's a meditation that I teach around self-soothing, where you're actually staying with the sensation as literally a sensation in your body. Is it hot, cold, expansive, contractive? Where are you feeling it in your body? And if you do that for a few minutes, then the sensation always changes. And then you can inquire about your deeper needs and values. And I give a whole list of needs and values in my programs. That's a combination of a lot of different other modalities, because some of them come from nonviolent communication. Some of them come from the attachment needs, which are really important. And once you identify those, to really then get in a more resource state, to get in a more positive state once you've moved the energy, and then ask yourself positive questions about that value. Like, what would it look like or feel like to get that value or need met? And like, come up with multiple possible scenarios so that you're not demanding only one way. You know, and that's what you need to get at, is this understanding that there's multiple ways you can get that need or value met. So if you want him to listen to you more, for example, like the need would be to be listened to. So right now you're listening to yourself. So that's a way of resourcing yourself a little bit. And then can you get, you know, a girlfriend that wants to listen to you? Can you get some family member that wants to listen to you? That's just a way to get a little more resource. That doesn't mean you don't still need him to listen to you, but then that way you're more patient. You can communicate to him, hey, I want you to listen to me. And then there's a whole other process I have around asking for what you want, which has to do with telling him what that need provides for you. You know, so that he's connecting to the essence of how to make you happy, not just that you're telling him what to do. But if you're getting your needs met from other sources in your life, you're not going to be as demanding when you ask him for what you need. And I think that's the thing that kills a man's romantic feelings, when he feels demanded or told what to do. And so if you're asking in a way where you're like, well, I have this need, but it's okay if you can't meet it, but I'd really like to talk to you about it so we can be closer. You know, but you're not able to do that unless you've done the self-soothing, and you're not able to do that unless you've kind of, you know, disengaged yourself from having a need to look a certain way, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how you're able to be more collaborative.
Wow. That was awesome. Thank you, Valerie. I'm super valuable. I'm like so much stuff. I'm just like, oh, I've been doing like 3/4 of the co-regulation piece, like my partner and I get, and I'm like, touch, you know, like eye gazing, breathing, like time out. I totally get that. But the touch piece is like, right, super soothing. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's really hard, and it can seem mechanical. Like when we're really upset at each other, and I ask him for co-regulation, and, you know, he sort of looks at me like that, and it feels robotic, you know, if he doesn't not feeling it. But it's like, there's a way where it still works.
Yeah. Even if you're not feeling it, it's like, just stop doing what you're doing and do something different. And it makes your body think, because it gets your body out of the fight or flight, right? You're in fight, flight, or freeze, and you're like, I'm going to get you. And then it's like, oh, like, wait, collaborative, you know, on a physical, visceral, like embodied level, you're starting to be collaborative again. So then that itself would cause you to like cry and break through the emotional piece, right? Which is 90% of the battle. And his body language too, your body's then saying like, I'm happy with you, don't worry, it's gonna be okay, we're on the same team, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you know what happens when we go into fight or flight. The blood drains out of your thinking brain and like goes into your arms so you can fight, and, you know, your legs so you can run away, and you're kind of like holding yourself tight, and even just looking at each other that way triggers each other. You know? And when you trigger a man's testosterone, I mean, that's, you know, what makes him go out and, you know, kill a buffalo. Right? So
I am not a buffalo.
Yeah, you don't want to trigger your man's testosterone. So it's like you want to be able to communicate to him that you're on the same team.
Yeah, wow, it's super awesome. So we're going to have, I just sort of bring it to a close, but we are going to have links to all of Valerie's resources, because I know you've got a lot of stuff going on, including her courses and her free ebook and whatnot. That'll be down below the video. And if anybody has any questions, you can head over to her website and contact her there. Is that the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, definitely. Just the contact page of my website is great.
Awesome.
Easy to remember.
Yeah. And specifically, if you're a woman who's been in a relationship for a while and are having a hard time getting your needs met or communicating around that, or if you're feeling like the relationship is maybe, heading towards divorce, or maybe that feels like a better escape at this moment, then Valerie's got a really amazing track record of helping people get out of those situations and back into a loving space. So,
exactly.
yeah, if that's you, come talk to Valerie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to keep collaborating with you, and I'm sure that people want to check out your resources too.
Thank you. Thank you, Valerie. Yeah, it's been really great talking to you. And of course, there's always the Joygasm school stuff. So, yeah, we'd love to have you guys deeper into our experience. And Valerie's a part of that. So,
yay.
yeah. Okay. Bye.